Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Target novelization of The Mythmakers, which is from Season 3 of Doctor Who with William Hartnell as the first Doctor. This is, of course, Vicky's final story. I don't quite know where to begin with this one. It is okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't feel like I'd wasted my time with it, and I could see myself going back and rereading it. So that's a good sign. But I didn't get as excited about it as I did, say, the Highlanders or the Gunfighters. I enjoyed those a lot more. This one, I like how, much like the Gunfighters, the novelization of the Gunfighters, which is the same author, it's told like someone is recalling a story. You know, the Gunfighters, of course, was a journalist who interviewed Doc Holliday right before he died. And in this case, it's Homer. Yes, that Homer. Well, not that Homer, but that Homer. The famous poet, the Greek poet. When he's an old man, he's recounting the story to someone else. And it's interesting listening to him tell it because he's also in the story. It talks about, of course, the Trojan War, which is what the Mythmakers is about, which, of course, Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. I had trouble getting into this one, and I'm really having trouble trying to review it. I really had to debate whether or not I wanted to do this review. I don't like Vicky in this one as much. She reminds me too much of Susan, the way she falls head over heels in love. And I get that that's not the character's fault. I know about the misunderstanding behind the scenes and everybody, or people thinking Vicky wanted to leave and Vicky not wanting to leave. And so she just kind of got written out real quick. But much like Susan, this stuff, oh, she falls in love and goes away. It's weird because in the story, she doesn't even like this guy for a while. And then on the same page when she's like, well, I don't want you here, go away. Literally, by the time you get to the bottom of the page, they're all lovey-dovey, talking like two teenagers. I mean, it mentions in there time passes, and they talk for several hours, and they're just chatting away like little 17-year-olds, which is what they're supposed to be according to the book. They're not even 18 yet. One thing they have in common, I don't like you, I don't like you. I bet I'm older than you are. Well, I'm almost 18. I'm almost 18. Really? Let's chat. And then, of course, she's head over heels enamored with him, and him with her. And I'm expecting Air Supply to play any moment now. Boy, talk about making love out of nothing at all. So I didn't like that. And, of course, she stays behind to stay with him. And the first Doctor is, of course, the Doctor is the one who comes up with the idea of the Trojan horse. This is an interesting one because does the Doctor come up with the idea of the Trojan horse because he's familiar with the story, or is the story written because Homer was there and saw the first Doctor come up with the idea of the wooden horse? You know, that kind of bootstrap paradox-like situation. You know, that whole bit when, like, Matt Smith says you can't change history if you're part of it. So was the first Doctor just suggesting what he knew was going to happen anyway, or is he the reason why that happens? And if so, then it's his fault the whole situation plays out the way it does. Because he's the one who tells Odysseus, after Odysseus rejects his flying machines, which is clever on Odysseus's part, he's the one who tells the Doctor, well, you need something else. And the Doctor, of course, tells Odysseus, well, have you thought of a horse? And that's where it comes from. So the first Doctor, even it says in the books, and with that one sentence, the Doctor doomed the world to, like, Greek civilization or something like that. It says it in the book with that line. It's pretty much saying, this is the Doctor's fault. And that's weird coming from the first Doctor, because the first Doctor is very much that, you can't change history, not one line. You know, we can't change history. You know, he's that really big, no, history has to play out. And here he is. Now, he might be thinking, well, this is the way it's supposed to happen anyway, but how do we know it's not, you know, it's him causing it? You know, he's caught up in events. That's interesting. It's interesting to think about. I don't like the way Odysseus is done in this because I've always thought of Odysseus in a more heroic light. Like some of the, like there's I think a mini series in the 90s about Odysseus I really liked, and I think I read the Iliad and the Odyssey a long time ago. It's so weird. I'm not 100% certain. I think I either read one of them or both of them, or maybe I've just read bits and pieces of parts of them or heard a story. I'm not even sure. It had to be like back when I was in junior high, in like the mid-90s. But I'd swear I've read them, at least the Odyssey. I'd swear I have. And so I always liked Odysseus. I always thought of him as kind of this heroic figure. And I don't like the way he's portrayed in the story at all. Some of the others, you know, I've just, due to different forms of media, I have certain impressions of these characters, and a lot of them are played differently. Paris is a little different than I assumed. Achilles is a little different than I assumed. And I had a lot of trouble adjusting to that. But Odysseus was the big one. That was the one that I really, because he's just, the way he's done is kind of a prick, honestly. And I didn't like that. I had trouble connecting with that. Like I said, I didn't hate the story. I could see myself going back and reading it again sometime. For some reason, it wasn't clicking with me. I'm really having trouble with this review. I don't know why. But it's really hard for me to put, because there's a lot of, it's written well. Let me put it that way. The dialogue is good. It's got a sense of humor in certain sections in it, which I like. There's several things in it that they say I like. It's interesting finding out that's possibly one way how Homer got blinded. You know, he lost one eye from Odysseus and another from Achilles. That's interesting. Learning that when he wrote the stories, he basically changes all of the Doctor and his friends' involvement into the gods intervened. That's pretty clever. I like that. I like that Achilles mistakes him for Zeus when the TARDIS just appears, but at the same time insists he comes along with him. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat how the Doctor puts his foot in it pretty much right out of the gate, because the TARDIS materializing is what distracts Hector so Achilles can kill him. So the Doctor is pretty much trapped in history, so to speak, just from arriving, or from the moment he arrives. That's fascinating, and I enjoy that. It's interesting to know that Homer's met other Doctors too. He mentions in there that he's met, you know, as he's recounting the story, he mentions this is the first time he meets the Doctor in the story, but that he's met other incarnations of the Doctor later. That makes sense too, so I like the fact they put that in there. Now, I've never seen any recons of Mythmakers. I've never seen any loose cannon stuff, so this is the first time I've experienced the story. It's okay. It's okay. It's probably my least favorite with Vicky. I just don't like how Vicky's done in it, and I like Vicky a lot. She's a little too Susan in it for me. But again, she's young and somebody in love when they're 17. Steven is fine in it. The first Doctor, like I said, I have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact the first Doctor is kind of the cause of all of this by giving them the idea for the horse, just to kind of save his own neck and try to save his friends. It seems very un-First Doctor to me, at least at this point in the show. So I'm a little surprised. I don't know, maybe I actually need to watch the reconstruction. And then the fact that part of it takes place from Homer's point of view, which is away from Troy as it's burning. He just hears the TARDIS leave and sees Vicky come back, so we don't actually see what happened in the city with the Doctor, how everybody got back to the TARDIS. I mean, we see how Vicky and Katerina did because Homer got them to leave. Same thing with, I think with Stephen. Yeah, I think he talked with Stephen. We don't quite know how the first Doctor managed to pry himself away from Odysseus and get to the TARDIS. So I'm curious if the episode explained that better, since Homer wasn't there to witness that. It's fine. I'm a little disappointed. I'd hoped it'd kind of be as good as I liked the novelization of the Gunfighters, and it isn't. But it was all right. It was worth a read. I don't regret reading it. And I can see myself going back and reading it in the future. So that's my thoughts on the Mythmaker, coming from someone who loves like the Trojan War and stuff like that. Decent. I'll give it that. So what do you think of the Mythmakers? So comment down below and let me know, because I always enjoy hearing from you guys. Other things to do: click the like button, click the subscribe button, and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I want to give a shout out to the Flyattractor, as he is the one who sent me this. He sent me a couple packages, and one of the packages had this Target novel in it. He knows I like Donald Cotton, is that his name, the writer? Because he knew I liked the Gunfighters novelization, which he had also sent me. And so he sent me this so I could read it, which I did enjoy. So I want to give him a special shout out. I also want to say thank you to two of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane and the Fifth Doctor. I really appreciate their continued support. If there's anything you would like to send me, my P.O. Box is down in the description below. And if you're interested in joining my Patreon, there is a link to that down there as well. I also have a link to my Amazon wish list as well, which I update regularly. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.